guys, it's Chloe, and today I am here with a brand new video. So today I am here with my May wrap up, and in the month of May I read 9 books, so I think I can successfully say that I am out of my reading slump. So guys, I don't know how long this video is going to be, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So the first book I completed in the month of May was Defined by Others by M.C.V. Egan. And this was a book that I received from IBF back in October, and I finally got around to reading it. I'm actually not going to talk too much about this book because I did do a non-spoiler book review, and I will link that in the description below if you're interested in watching that. But I will just give you my statistics for this book since I did do that review. I did give this a total of 3 stars. For the A to Z book challenge, it counted for the letter D, and for the Pop Sugar challenge, it counted for an author who uses a pseudonym. Overall, I thought this book was good. There were a couple different things that I had issues with that I talk about all in my review, so again, that is linked in the description below. Next book I completed in the month of May was Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Rees-Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. And I am like slowly catching up on the Shadowhunter series. I'm actually fully caught up now, but that's more of that later. And this recently came out like 6 months ago maybe? Back in I think November, and these are all the ebook short stories that were released about Simon at Shadowhunter Academy. I give this a 4 stars overall. I did enjoy it. I like how fast-paced it was because I did listen to the audiobook for this. Did not have a letter for the A to Z book challenge, and for the Pop Sugar challenge, it counted as a book with a mythical creature because in the Shadowhunter world, there are a ton of mythical creatures. The next book I completed in the month of May was The Distance Between Us by Casey West. Casey West is one of my absolute favorite contemporary authors. I hadn't read this one, and I finally got to read it, and I loved it. It was so good. I love all of her books, and apparently this is set in the same world as On the Fences, which is also by Casey West, and I did not know that until Alyssa from Pucks and Paperbacks told me that. Overall, I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. For the A to Z book challenge, this did not count for a letter, and for the Pop Sugar challenge, it counted as a book that has been on my TBR for way too long. The next book I completed was Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between by Jennifer E. Smith, another really awesome contemporary author. I actually buddy read this book with Alyssa from Pucks and Paperbacks. We'd been meaning to do it for a while, but I had to catch up on some other review books before diving into this one. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite Jennifer E. Smith books ever. I fell in love with this book. It takes place over the course of about 12 hours, and there's this couple who are trying to decide whether they should break up or stay together before they go to college on opposite ends of the country. I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It counted for the letter H for the A to Z book challenge, and it did not count for anything for the Pop Sugar challenge. The next book I completed in May was Once Upon a Time, Red's Untold Tale by Wendy Tolliver. Now this is of course based off of the TV show Once Upon a Time. It is specifically focused on the character of Red, who is Little Red Riding Hood. And I actually had to read this book because the second one, Regina Rising, came out this month, and it is the May book of the month for Once Upon a Read Along. So I had to read, well, I didn't have to read this one before I could have read that one, but I wanted to because they're kind of like companions, I guess. I am obsessed with Once Upon a Time. I'm pretty sure that's well known on this channel that I'm obsessed with Once Upon a Time. And I'm thrilled that it was renewed for a season 7, but I am upset because there are so many people leaving, including my favorite character, Belle, played by Emily DeRavin. I can't cope, but that's for another time. I ended up really enjoying this book despite how long it kind of took me to get through it. But I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It counted for the letter R on the A to Z book challenge, and for the Pop Sugar challenge, counted as a book set in the wilderness because this is centered in the Enchanted Forest. The next book I completed in May was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, and now I can officially say that I got caught up on all things Shadowhunters before the release of Lord of Shadows, because I did finish this like a couple days before it came out. Overall, I did listen to this audiobook and I really enjoyed it. I was hesitant at first, but I ended up falling in love with the story. I am glad that it's set about 5 years after the events of City of Heavenly Fire. That makes me happy because I thought we were going to be following around a bunch of 12-year-olds, but we're not. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Did not count for a letter for the A to Z book challenge. And for the Pop Sugar challenge, it counted as a book with an eccentric character. And the eccentric character that is in this one is the High Warlock of Los Angeles, whose name I cannot remember. The next book I completed was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And this, I actually had to start this series because Aquawar, A Court of Wings and Ruin, is the June book of the month for Once Upon a Read Along. And I've never read this series, so I have 2 books to catch up on before I can read the actual book of the month. I could not find the audiobook on Overdrive, Hoopla, any digital download system at all, but I ended up getting the CD version of it from the library, and oh my lord, it went so slow that I absolutely just hated that it was going so slow. I gave it a 2.5 stars, so 2.5 stars. I really wish I enjoyed it more, but I've heard that A Quarter Mist and Fury is worth it, and let me tell you, it better be worth it. It did not count for a letter for the ATC challenge, and it did not qualify for the Pop Sugar challenge. The next book I completed in the month of May was the book that I unwrapped to read in May, and that was An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. People have fallen in love with this series, and I'm so glad that I got to read it because I fell in love too. I was really hesitant at first going into it, but I ended up loving it. I was listening to the audiobook and it was just fantastic. I cannot wait to pick up the sequel, which is A Torch Against the Night, and I am so pumped to just find out what's going on because I fell in love with this book. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I only bumped it down a half because I was really hesitant going into it and I was like kind of in the beginning, but then I fell in love with it. So I just bumped off that little half for the beginning. This did not count for a letter for the ATC challenge, and for the Pop Sugar challenge it counted as a book by a person of color. And the last and final book that I read in the month of May was Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. This is actually an arc of the book that was given to me by Elizabeth from the Owlery. And because I didn't get to read it ahead of time, I figured, well, I may as well read it in the month that it's being released in. It came out on May 2nd. I love Jennifer E. Smith's writing, but there's some books that I just don't like by her that much. Like, I didn't really enjoy You Are Here that much. This one I ended up really enjoying. I listened to the audiobook, and the problem I had with it was I really hated the narrator. But other than that, I loved the story. I fell in love with it. It was fantastic. It's just the narrator that I didn't enjoy when listening to the audiobook. I ended up giving this a 4.5 stars. I only bumped off that half because of the narrator, which it has nothing to do with the story itself. I just couldn't stand the narrator. Did not count for a letter for the A to Z challenge, and it did not qualify for anything on the Pop Sugar challenge. So guys, those are all 9 books that I read in the month of May. I am so glad that I'm like out of this slump and I'm getting back into it. I am on top of it and I am pumped. So guys, that's all I have for this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like a behind the scenes look at my life, you can check out my second channel, Coalescence. I post on there every Friday. And if you like to see here, please go ahead and click subscribe. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So click subscribe so you can be updated for when I post those. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!